Alright guys, welcome to my monster review of Korol. He was the race monster in Season 1. Hopefully you got him. He's actually pretty great. He's actually a pretty great, Season 1 attacker as far as Season 1 standards go. He is a self-buffing nature and earth attacker. So, Korol's lore. With his rock-like shell and seaweed-shaped sensory organs, Korol has the perfect physique for battlefield espionage, that is. Once Mighty Thetis saw his skill at camouflaging himself and launching surprise attacks, she knew she had to make Korol part of her army. So it's kind of weird reading this lore that he doesn't have the status caster or the status effect camouflage when that is actually an effect in the game. It would have been really cool, but whatever. Dismal Loudcast applies double damage to itself, deals moderate nature damage to all enemies, applies roots and toxins to all enemies. All right, so this finisher really does a lot in one. It doubles your damage, does a very strong AoE, applies roots, and then gives toxins, which will make your future damage do even more. So that is a very powerful finisher. I gotta say, I absolutely love this guy's design and his eyes. That giant sword is just also cool. So let's check out his trait. So rank 1, he has immunity to cooldown activation. This is, it's pretty good. Because, usually you have immune to control, immune to torture, or immune to cooldown activation. It's not the worst. You've got people like Lord Hayman, Chloroclaws, and Lord Cthulhu, who are all very dangerous deniers right now. And 2 out of 3 of them use Cold Blood to apply cooldowns on more than one person. So this is actually a pretty great counter. Then you've got immunity to Curse. I gotta say there are definitely better traits, but being immune to curse is really good. Right now, in the meta and in the lower meta, things like Torvak's Mask, Azajin, we're about to have Gaspagor, literally every single magic monster since the Metro era, all of them just use so much curse that this immunity is actually pretty good. It'll come in handy, but definitely the trait could be better. 2 situational immunities, but good immunities nonetheless. All right, everyone would rather be immune to control and immune to torture, but for these 2, it's not the worst. Definitely better than being immune to any random denial. That it's much more situational than cooldown immunity. And then you have status caster self precision. I really don't get why so many attackers have precision right now. Look, I'll go to this. You've got Korol with precision, right? You've got, let's see, if you have precision. Look, his finisher applies precision. Let's see. From what I remember, I was just reviewing some other monsters that had precision as status casters. It's really weird. It's super popular right now. I think Lorunyon has precision. Oh, no, status caster Mind Blind. Either way, there's a lot of, weird precision and, true vision going on right now. But he does actually have some pretty decent negative effects. So let's go to his skill set and see what he can do. So I have him at rank 1. It's pretty hard to rank up these guys. As always, I'll say this before every single Abyssal Era monster review. His stats are insane compared to other monsters. He has almost 500,000 health. He's super fast, and he's pretty strong. So let me show you his skills. He's actually a really strong attacker. So you've got Diatom Slide. Deals low nature damage to one enemy. Applies Quicksand. 0 cooldown, 15 stamina. All right. The damage is really, really low. It's not even moderate. So I can't suggest it, but it applies Sandstorm, which is a deadly dot. Spiraling Mud. All right, so this is 0 stamina, 0 cooldown, but it only applies Sandstorm and nothing more. Definitely worthless. Slip and Twist. Applies Quicksand and Sandstorm to all enemies. No damage. 1 turn cooldown, 38 stamina. Gotta say, I always love moves like this. It gives you 2 strong earth dots that last 4 and 3 turns. This would kill any thunder monster no matter what. This would absolutely destroy a Dark Voltaic. But he has better moves, so I can't recommend it. But it's definitely a good move that you're seeing a lot more. Moves that apply dots but don't do damage because there's a lot of reflection relics going around. So maybe you run it, maybe you don't. You got to debate whether you think that's worth it or not. Knocking Notch. Deals moderate nature damage to one enemy. Applies vulnerable to one enemy. Alright, so 1 turn cooldown, 34 stamina. It's pretty strong. It applies vulnerable, so your next attacks are going to be even stronger. But he's got an AoE version of it, and he's got some pretty strong single. He's got 1, 2 singles, so I don't think you really need it. Open swing. So this is like the AoE version of it, but a lot better because it does even more damage. So this one does moderate nature damage to all enemies. So this is like 45 damage AoE. We're seeing a lot more of this right now, and it's super powerful. I gotta say, I love it. Only thing I'm upset at is that this is the AoE that does vulnerable, because I'd love to do an AoE after I already have vulnerable. Like this AoE, I'd love to do it after it already has vulnerable. But with the 3 turn cooldown, 48 stamina, which is pretty hefty, it's going to take a while to do it again, and its stamina is pretty high. But that is just massive strength, and it lands a pretty good negative status effect. Then you've got Twirling Storm. Very heavy earth damage to one enemy, applies Sandstorm to one enemy. So this is just your strong single attack. Look at that. 75 damage, 75% damage, and applies Sandstorm. One of his big things with his high damage and great moves is very high stamina cost, very high cooldown. 3 turn cooldown, 47 stamina. That definitely hurts, but it's definitely not the worst. Then we've got Algae Prison, a very interesting move right here. Applies roots to one enemy, deals moderate nature to all enemies. So this does about the same damage as this single. So if you do open swing first, this one might do a lot more damage. So it deals moderate nature damage to all enemies, applies quicksand to all enemies. So you add a dot to it, and applies roots to one enemy. So the way I see this, you've got a dodge area monsters and you've got the rest of the monsters. You deny that dodge area monster with this move, and the residual damage, the residual dot, does the damage to the rest. I think this is a pretty interesting and great. It's really just an AoE with quicksand with a single denial. It's interesting, but pretty good, and I think it's situational enough to come in handy sometimes, especially against all these dodge area monsters. And I gotta say, we're seeing a lot more magic monsters show up, like there's Omnia already in the meta, there's Mouserk, there's Prospero coming up, there's Azajin, there's Alchemistic. A lot of magic monsters are floating around. Some of them meta, some of them not so much. Namely Omnia and Mouserk being the most meta ones right now. So doing this nature damage is really powerful. Maybe you run the single nature just as a specifically Omnia counter, but I just gotta say I don't think it's the most worth it. So yeah, interesting and good move. And then you have Muddy Waters. Deals heavy damage, earth damage to one enemy. So about 60% damage, that's very strong. Then applies Sandstorm. Alright, you block Pierce with a decent dot, but then he applies double damage. So you could do this first, possibly kill an enemy, and then follow it up with Open Swing, a very powerful move, increased by double damage. Then they have vulnerable. Then you could do Twirling Storm, and with all of that damage stacked up, you can kill them. Biggest worry with this guy, his stamina. His stamina is absolutely crazy high. So is his cooldown. But I think if you have an ally with the Sigil, Archdruid's Sigil, that completely negates it. So Archdruid's Sigil is the ideal partner to Korol. But yeah, what an insane attacker. He does a lot of damage. Biggest takeaway. High stamina, high cooldown. But he's just so good. So, obviously just run him as an attacker. His relics are pretty decent. You've got a shield and a sword. Very unique relics for an attacker. We really don't see shields on attackers or shields on anyone for that for what it's worth anymore. So give you Kane's sword. I think Vanoss 2099 is the only really good shield out at all. Let me see. What other shields could you run on him? Just to show you some other options. Hammergrown, when the turn starts, gives armor to all allies. Turn starts if the wearer's life is above. Ooh, so Hammergrown shield is actually just a better Vanoss shield. So even more strength increase. So I think you want to run that Vanoss shield on him. The rest of them are pretty darn bad. So if you have Hammergrown shield, if you got Vanoss shield, definitely run them. It's definitely going to be good. And really any sword, I just got to suggest Kane's sword, because sustainability, without talent, these monsters, even though their stats are crazy high, they still get torn away by all of these new relics, these obsidian relics with dots and stuff like that. So you definitely need some way to heal. Kane's sword is definitely the way to go. So now I'm going to use him in PvP. I cannot wait for this. All right, so I'll do this. Let me just collect this food real quick and be on my way. So yeah, this is definitely a great monster. I hope you picked him up in war, at least got him at rank 1, or you had the Korolina to get him at rank 1, because even a rank 1 Abyssal monster's stats are super high and it's super strong, and I can't wait to showcase it here. Obviously, it's not going to instant kill every time. If you fight 150s, there's this thing where a rank 1's damage against a rank 2 is slightly lowered. So when you fight 150s, the damage is going to seem a lot lowered. So, sometimes it's going to be situational. Oh, that's another thing I didn't realize about him. He gets torn apart by the fire meta because he is a nature monster. It's easy to overlook because he's also an earth monster, but he is a nature monster, and that does make him pretty weak to the fire meta. So, what do you have? Telenes, Uriel's Burnt Blood. Do I have the stamina for this? Yes, I do. All right, so I'm going to remove your Pierce just as a safeguard, Boom, boom. Then I'm going to turn transfer to... You're a Thunder monster, so I'm going to turn transfer to you. Now you've got Light Hater, and now, boom, look at this. He's got a Light Hater, so he's strong against Cherub Cupid too. But he's got Earth Attack, so he's also strong against Mighty Tito. Robo Tito, I was close. So I am going to apply Vulnerable to all, or... Oh, this is great. As I said, look, you do an AoE, you apply a dot, and then you also deny someone. So I gave him roots. He was denied. So what a great showcase. Now I'm going to do... I don't want him to revive here, but he's going to have to. So I'm definitely going to take a pretty strong... Oh, no, he didn't revive. That's great. So... right here, I think I'm going to do another AoE. Now Robotito has vulnerable. He's going to be eaten up by those dots. Sadly, he didn't get the chance because he died. But look at that. He came back to life too. So, look, now that I apply vulnerable, he's also going to die super easily to all of his great dots. So, Hushed Spell. Silent Whispers. Hushed Spell. I don't know how he's removing stamina now. And... I am going to turn transfer to you. Cooldown activation. I'm going to let the dots tear you apart, Pango. Then I'm going to cleanse. And then, boom. I'm going to set up that double damage. So now, hopefully he has enough stamina left. He's got double damage, right? He's got everything he could want. Plus his enemy has vulnerable. So he sets up the double damage. He sets up the vulnerable. And then he does his attack. Sadly, I can't showcase how powerful this should be because it's Earth on Earth. But I'm just going to do this. Boom, look, plus you added denial to it. I just love this monster, guys. Definitely worth trying to get to rank 1. I think rank 1 is good enough. I think you definitely need him higher. And he definitely has a weakness to the fire meta. But this guy is definitely an amazing attacker. And he's really fun to use, so I'm going to use him. Let's keep this going. Funny that this is my showcase team, just her and Zyron. Alright, so to the sewers. Alright, waste this. Do this. Just do this again. Turn transfer to myself. Idaho kicks in, Tetsuman's. Alright. Hit you. Hit you. Boom. Darn, I'm not sure if I'll have the stamina for this. We'll have to hope, guys. Boom. 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 And then I do the turn transfer. So what do I want to turn transfer to? I want to turn transfer to him. I set up that AoE vulnerable, so boom. All of a sudden, all of my attacks are going to be stronger. So, looks like stamina wasn't taken down too much. Then I do Tanzanite Explosion. Why does the middle guy always turn into a baby? And then I do Muddy Waters. This way, I apply double damage. So Muddy Waters, double damage. And now my next AoE is probably going to hit a lot harder. So I'm just going to recharge. I'm just going to, let's see what your traits are. I think he's going to die anyways. Look, that vulnerable allows Curse and Sandstorm to tear him up. Plus, funnily enough, they were all susceptible to Curse, but he's immune to it. So for what it's worth, you've got that. They're all weak to cooldown activation, but he's immune to it. So that's just a funny little thing to point out. Nebulines, Delayer, Health Gene. All right, nothing too worrisome. I'll just activate your cooldowns just to showcase that he was immune. All right. And then I'm just going to turn transfer into you. He buffs as he attacks, so he just casually gets stronger. Look at this. Who do I want to deny? I want to make sure that Slumster stays denied while still doing an AoE to kill Voltaic. So I do this, boom, AoE, boom, dot. It's basically everything you expect that's normal, but then it adds that denial, which is just a nice aspect. Only in the weaker leagues will you really find earth monsters. In the higher leagues, you fight people like Galvanus. So this Galvanus and Light Voltaic. So these earth attacks are going to be a lot better than it looks here, because right here I just keep facing earth monsters. And earth on earth isn't that high. But yeah, definitely high damage output. With the right runes, he could definitely hit like a truck. Like, look, this is a level 110 with level 5 runes doing this much damage. All right, so disable your trait, recharge. I'll just make sure you have no stamina as a form of denial. And then Dismal Loudcast. That toxin is going to destroy him. And boom, Roots and Intoxicated. He is dead. All right, guys. I think I'm going to end the video here. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it helpful. If you did, please leave a like to support the video. This is my 5th video today. I've been cranking out videos. I was gone for a week because I got sick. I missed Christmas update. I missed the Christmas update for you guys, and I missed my 200 subscriber special. And I want to make up for it by keeping the content coming. So this guy is definitely a fun monster to use. I'm definitely open to PvP requests too. And I'm just enjoying making videos for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like to support the video. Please leave a comment and I will respond. What are your thoughts on him? Is he good? How would you rank him, like, in the new era? Is he one of the best of the new era? Or is he just another forgettable monster? Did you get him? What rank? Stuff like that. I always love to hear it. I love talking to you guys. And subscribe to join the Crab Army. We have reached 200 subscribers. That is an absolutely massive milestone, and it means a million. Thank you all so much for that. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it helpful. Hope to see you in the next one. Your favorite Omni-Crab signing out. Have a great day.